And once again today to deliver one episode of the Violet Evergarden anime. Yeah, I'm working correctly. I'm working correctly on Twitch. Wouldn't you know? Everything's fine. So yeah, I was planning to do 2 episodes this week, or today at least. But then I was like, holy crap, my eyes are really freaking heavy. I was like, I thought I was going to pass out at one point. So I thought to myself, I had a coffee, I had something to eat, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm actually kind of a little bit better now. So I thought I'll do 1 episode today, possibly then do 2 tomorrow, and see what happens there and then. Because I think this one happens to be very singular anyway, so it's kind of like, okay, so you can probably do this one better on its own than together with another episode. That's what I thought to myself, because I read about this episode being quite singular away from everything else, because it's kind of very original in its kind of content. So I thought, okay, I'll do it that way then. But yeah, I mean, when we left off last time, which was freaking hell, 2 weeks ago, I think now? I can't remember. Yeah, Violet actually got her license, I think, if I'm correctly. She's basically now an auto memory doll, like, completely. She passed the test. I thought, okay. I mean, it's kind of alright. It's a little bit of a character progression. So yeah, hopefully the show doesn't tend to kind of rear into the repetitive... that word always kind of throws me off. Repetitive territory of characterization, because it does seem as if it's trying to advance her, but at the same time it's actually trying to do it in a very contrived manner that it's kind of like, okay, we get it, just get to the point. So hopefully it doesn't do that this time. But anyway, enough talk with me not being able to say the word repetitive correctly. Let's get this show on the road. So in 3, 2, 1, let's begin this thing now. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That was double uh-oh. That was one insult, then straight into a fall. I was like, wow, that's double uh-oh. But yeah, the one thing I've actually kind of noticed about this show so far is that it's almost as if you could kind of rear the narrative away from Violet slightly, and actually it wouldn't be as if it was different. Because she's kind of like, she's there, she does things, but at the same time, it's as if the pacing is kind of working against her. That it's kind of as if it's like, okay, but we want to see her get to another point. But it feels as if when she gets to that point, it's not that good, and it's just like as if she's not the greatest protagonist in the universe. It's as if it's maybe in a light novel is actually a lot better. Maybe it's just Kyoto Animation. I'm not too sure, because it's a really weird show when it comes to her character. Because I don't mind the show. I quite like it. I quite like the premise. I quite like the world itself. But I feel as if the characters that inhabit the world are kind of alright, besides maybe for one, which actually happened to be quite good. But maybe time will kind of tell this show, and it actually might very improve. Like it might need some episodes to actually kind of get to its point. I'm not too sure. It's like she's got a story to tell, but the way it's trying to tell the storyline is trying to work against her. I'm not too sure. It's a weird show as well. It's kind of like Overlord. It's just extremely weird. Because what's even strange is the fact that the actual world itself is like kind of alive as well, like in the sense of how Kyoto Animation chooses to animate and chooses how to stage the scenes themselves. It's almost as if it's actually alive. But the characters in it just don't feel that kind of alive. It's kind of a weird thing. Some do, some don't. Also, one thing about this episode so far that I've just noted, the actual editing is quite erratic. In the sense it just goes cut, 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 almost like every single 5 seconds. And I get it, but it's just like, it's kind of a bit more erratic than usual. Yeah, it just seems a little bit more fast than usual, the editing this episode. It's not as if it's a flaw or anything. It's not as if it's like kind of as if it's bad or anything. It's just kind of one of those things I just noticed. It's a lot more faster on how it cuts. I kind of like how blunt. What's a? For a second, I forgot her name completely. My brain just kind of stopped. No, Violet. She's really freaking blunt. I like it. She's just straight to the point. So how is she? She's crying. It's like, wow. All right, straight to the point. Uh-oh. Ooh. 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 Am I the only one getting the impression this episode's kind of wasted? Like, not much has actually kind of happened, if at all. yeah, I really don't see anything happening this week. Like, it's sort of okay. That's all I get from it. I think we're still kind of at square one with every single character practically, besides maybe Violet slightly. That's not even subtle, Kyoto Annie. It's not even subtle. Not even subtle. I mean, okay, that was a bit of a weird episode. I mean, to clarify my points when I was saying during the stream itself, especially with the whole entire idea about the scene when I said she was a bit blunt, I mean, it's not just specifically that scene, but it's one of the things I've noticed about her character is the fact that she kind of does, in theory, say how she thinks it is, and I kind of like that about her as well. It's one of the things, one of the character traits I like about her is the fact that she's always known to be this way, so she always says it that way, though it's not the correct way of saying it. But it's a kind of a neat thing. It's a bit of a different thing. It's one of the only things I can honestly say I like about her character thus far. I mean, aside from a few other things I've noted about her. But yeah, I mean, I said it in that scene, but it wasn't specifically tied to that scene entirely. It's actually tied to a whole entire character, really. This whole entire series. She does actually just say how it is and what she thinks. It's a nice little change because you kind of get those characters that kind of, in theory, empower everyone else through a dialogue. You just got Violet who basically just says how it is. I kind of like it. But in theory, that episode was very freaking wasted. Like, on everyone, really, because, let's face it, did we learn anything? We learned about Iris's family and her character, technically, to a point. But really, well and truly, if you told someone else to go watch this episode, would you tell them that it's good? Or would you tell them that it's kind of like one of those ones that just don't pay too much attention to it because you probably won't learn too much? Because it's literally, that's what it is, really. You learn stuff, but at the same time, it's like, you've seen it all before. And the same thing applies to Violet's character as well, which technically does tend to factor into a major problem this show tends to have, is repetition. Like, it's got a place it wants to get Violet to, I understand that. But a place it wants to get her to, it feels as if it's kind of like, it wants to get there, but it wants to kind of get there by reinforcing the previous point, which, again, it's not a bad thing. If you want to reinforce the reason why she's there, then go forth, continue. But it feels as if it's kind of beating you over the head with it to a point that it kind of feels like, okay, we get it. We get why she's there. We get why she wants to kind of become a memory doll. We get all those things. You don't have to tell us constantly all these things. It just becomes a little bit contrived after a while. That you begin to lose care for her character because she's just like, oh, please, love of Christ, just get to that point already because we're fed up hearing you say the exact same things each week. And that's the major problem. I wouldn't mind this show just kind of saying, look, she wants to get to here and leave it like that. Because we as an audience, we understand that she wants to get to that point because she wants to understand those words. We know, we got that point for episode 1. It does not need to be reinforced every single week to a point it becomes mundane. And it becomes a bit too routine. And it kind of comes off as if each character that kind of interacts with Violet will also get her to that one point, and kind of then you feel as if the other characters kind of wasted to an extent, besides last week's episode and the week before. It just kind of feels a little bit as if it's like, okay, we get what you're trying to do, but don't do it that way, because it kind of feels a little bit contrived, and it feels that way. I mean, it might in theory kind of change as time goes on, but currently the show just kind of doesn't know what to do. It's like it's got a point it wants to get to, but it's the middle of the show that it's technically starting to drag itself down to the point that you lose care, and that'll become a problem later on. If it continues in this vein, if it continues like, okay, I want to do this because I want to do that all the goddamn time, and it wants to reinforce that, and it wants to reinforce, oh, I don't understand people's feelings and everything like that, then you're gonna lose care because you will understand at that point what's the point for her character, because it's going to be the exact same thing each week. Because it felt as if it was kind of, you got to a cathartic moment last week, in the sense the whole entire idea that we beforehand, actually. You got to a point where it kind of felt cathartic because she kind of understood someone's feelings and actually then expressed those feelings in the letter. You thought, okay, she finally got to that one point, but now you've kind of gone backwards to go forwards once again. It's just, why would you do that? Like, you could have spent this whole entire week focusing on more things of her character, introduce another plot point about her character, because it kind of feels as if it's a little bit one note at the moment, just a tiny bit. We know there's a lot more going on behind closed doors, don't get me wrong, it's evident. But at the same time, the way it kind of goes about saying these things, kind of going about showing these things, it focuses on the more mundane aspects of her character than the actual kind of more interesting aspects of her character. It's actually the whole entire idea of her past. Her past is kind of the integral point. And it kind of slowly shows you to a point, but again, it's kind of like, if you want to see that, you have to get past all these things to get to that one point, and it kind of feels as if it's like it's wasting your time, because you could just go and read the light novel and actually get the exact same experience than what you're getting here, but on a more kind of conclusive manner and a little bit better. Well, actually, probably a lot better. Let's face it. And it probably doesn't look as good, but animation's not the major thing, I don't think. Animation really kind of say yay or nay to a show. If the story and the characters are great, then you can probably get past the show doesn't look that good. If the show is phenomenal and the characters are terrible, then what do you get out of it? That's always what I say. So yeah, this show is extremely interesting because it's got a good core to it, a very good core, but it doesn't know what to do. That it kind of feels as if it's just going backwards and forwards constantly with her character, to a point that you could interchange with anyone in that whole entire show, and it would have been a lot better. That's the problem with her character. She gets to the point that she kind of feels as if she's not a main character anymore. She says she's just a character in that world. I mean, probably that's the point. I'm not too sure, but it doesn't feel as if she can carry a narrative because she just don't care. That's the problem. I don't think her character, as time goes on, if she continues in this vein, she can carry the narrative, because you sort of have to care, you just don't. You sort of just go backwards, you're sort of like, nope, I don't care. Oh, no, actually, I care now. But no, I don't now, because it's gone back to what it was beforehand. And that's a major problem. So, it might, in theory, kind of fix that by episode maybe 6 or 7. At a midpoint, it might introduce something like, kind of like, oh my god, that's actually a massive change. I'm not too sure. But I hope it does, because otherwise we're kind of screwed. Because this show is just, it's constantly just under-delivering with its actual kind of storyline. Like, the animation, we're doing a freaking great job, I must say. It's really freaking nice. But everything else, no. It's even this, now I can't pronounce her name correctly. Damn, my brain just stopped. Even Iris's character herself, like, she wasn't good. Like, it wasn't a good episode in her own right, because the previous character we got before last week's episode, she had a great background. They actually made the whole entire episode actually kind of worthwhile to watch. What did Iris have? Nothing. Nothing interesting. It was all about love, and I was like, okay, I mean, I understand that, because it kind of feeds back into Violet's character. But then, what does Iris get out of it? That's the thing, because the other thing I know about this characterization in the show is the fact that a lot of the things tend to feed back into Violet's character, and it kind of feels as if it's actually developing her, but kind of keeping the other characters at a point that it doesn't actually allow them to kind of go forward. And it's like, okay, continue like that, but you have to kind of allow the characters besides Violet to actually kind of develop as well, because otherwise you've kind of got characters who otherwise, why are they there? You could have just completely got rid of them, they've been completely fine, but why are they there? You've got to give reason to why a character's there. If they don't have reason to be there, why are they there? And that's what this show is kind of doing quite a bit. It's just not allowing these characters to kind of fully flesh themselves out to a point, and you're kind of focusing on Violet, who's the MC, but at the same time, she isn't a good MC herself, and it's almost as if you're wasting the time, and it's a weird show. It's a weird show. I have no idea what to pinpoint about this show. Like, it drifts upon about the 6s and 7s out of 10s, I think. That's what I'm kind of feeling at the moment. I mean, it's got an 8.40 something on Mount. I think it's way too high, because the show hasn't really delivered too much in the sense of anything. Like, episode 2 really did deliver, but that's besides that's the episode really that actually kind of did. Episode 3 kind of, but not too much. 4 basically just hell if I know. So yeah, that's me done for today. Probably I might catch up on episode 5 and 6 tomorrow. I might not. I'm not too sure what's gonna happen tomorrow. But yeah, that's me done for today. I'm gonna pass out for a bit. So yeah. Whoo! So, if you have enjoyed this whole entire stream on Twitch, then do leave a follow, because indeed it does help quite a bit. If you enjoy what I do here on YouTube and you do want to leave a like, then do leave a like, because indeed it does help quite a bit. If you enjoy what I do here on YouTube and you do want to stay a little bit longer, then do leave a sub, because indeed it does help quite a bit. But until tomorrow, I have indeed been the driver. I shall see you guys later.